Difficulty walking barefooted on grass is a really common sensory processing difficulty. So let's think about some of these sensory systems. Tactile sense is probably the one which comes to mind first. So when someone's barefoot, they're feeling the grass on their skin. A lot of the time that feeling is light touch, and for some people light touch is incredibly painful. Grass also grows in different ways, so the way that it feels is going to change every time you make a step. And when you step down, the grass then kind of springs back up under you, which can be incredibly frightening for some people who are sensitive to touch. There's very little control that we can have when we're walking on grass. Other difficulties might be relating to our visual sense. Now this might be something which we don't necessarily think about to begin with, but grass, because it has lots of little strands, is a lot of visual information. So every little strand is therefore a piece of visual information which I'm receiving. So for some people, just the fact that they're looking down, it's like looking onto a patterned carpet. The fact that they're looking down onto the grass and seeing all of this visual information, it can be incredibly overwhelming, too much information, especially if they're hypersensitive to visual sensations. This can also very closely relate to our vestibular sense. So if they're outside and they're moving, if someone's hypersensitive to vestibular information moving around, it's very commonly linked with our visual sense, which can mean someone becomes quite dizzy and overwhelmed quite easily. It might be proprioception, so if someone's hypersensitive to their proprioceptive sense, so they're already receiving loads of information, by walking on the grass in barefoot, they're then receiving even more. And like I said, similar to tactile, because of all the strands of grass are poking up in different directions, different parts of their foot are going to feel the grass at different times, which can be incredibly, well, it's not a very controlled environment for someone who is trying to avoid sensation, so if they're hypersensitive to information. And the last one which I'm going to mention for this topic is relating to smell. So don't forget, when we're outside, there are smells. Natural smells tend to be easier for us to regulate, for us to process, but grass does have an aroma, it does have a scent. And for some people, that pollen, especially if there's allergies, can be quite overwhelming, quite difficult for someone. Then if they've walked on grass with their bare feet, that smell then is carried with them, so they will have the smell with them throughout the day unless they wash their feet.